Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of November 7th, 2021. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. And the concentration of energy, the most important energy this week, is going to be the energy of Scorpio. Once again, and I know that we've had very strong Scorpion energy lately, but I will say that next week, things will shift dramatically so. It is going to be next week that we will enter eclipse season with a very harmonious lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse that brings with it the promise of focus and change and transformation. But some of those benefits can be felt now. And that is because the energy of Scorpio itself speaks to not only some of the themes I've been talking about lately, like transformation and rebirth and regeneration. That is all very much a part of the picture now. But in addition to this, of course, the exploration of what we have denied ourselves, what is taboo, what's just underneath the surface, the underworld in our own life. But there's another part of the energy of Scorpio that I think is worth exploring today, and that has to do with focus. Whether it is that we're focusing our mind or focusing our emotional energy, and the emotional energy really is key. It is this energy that can make incredible things possible when we tap into the power of emotion to put that emotion towards what it is that we choose to move towards. There's a reason why the energy of Scorpio is associated not only with the things I mentioned, but it also is connected to the occult. The occult and the esoteric arts, I believe, and many would say, that astrology is considered an esoteric art. And what that means is there's a hidden aspect to it by its very nature. There's something else going on underneath the surface. And as an esoteric art, as an esoteric practice, it hasn't necessarily been one of those things where it is that the knowledge is widely available out into the world. And I think in some ways, archetypally certainly, but many of us continue that tradition in that we will find ourselves connecting to an energy that will lead us to astrology that maybe we can't always understand or put our finger on or completely intellectualize. And yet we know that it is a desire to explore some mystery that becomes part of what leads us to astrology or any occult art or esoteric art. But this part of the sky, the energy of Scorpio, also has to do with the law of attraction. And I think that's really interesting. The law of attraction, of course, is this idea that we can focus our minds. There's a lot of emphasis put on thought, but that we can focus our thoughts on what we desire to manifest and experience our circumstances change in the direction of what we have focused on. But I've found that when you're using something like the law of attraction, it is a lot more valuable to focus on the emotion, to focus on the feeling, to connect with how it is that you want to feel rather than having an exact thing, person, place, or circumstance line up the way that you are specifying in your mind. It actually allows the universe that many more pathways to bring to you what you really want. And really what we do truly want very rarely has to do with a specific thing or a specific person even. It has to do with a feeling that we desire to feel, an emotion we desire to hold, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of self-respect. These are ultimately emotional states. And when we instead focus on the emotional state, then we start to tap into the great power of the energy of Scorpio, because that really is where the power lies. And so this week's emphasis on the energy of Scorpio is likely going to bring with it a real opportunity now to decide what's worth focusing on and what isn't. And a lot of this is evoked by the energy right in the middle of the week. On Wednesday, for most people out there, we have a few very powerful things taking place. So one is Mars connecting in the sky with Mercury. So they are going to occupy the same degree of the zodiac in the sky. So they're meeting in the sky, and very quickly, within hours, both of these planets move on to speak with Saturn in connections of tension. And this is an aspect that astrologers call a square. And the thing about squares to Saturn is that you can't get what you want right away. And in many ways, the universe asks us if whatever endeavor we're engaged in, is it worth the sacrifice? Is it worth continuing to put our energy into, our time into, even if there is not instant gratification, even if there are not instant rewards? And very often, it is in these very moments that we become whom it is that we're meant to be. Squares mean activity. Squares mean that something's happening. It means that there is motivation to move, to create momentum, to transform the circumstances for the better. And when it is a square of Saturn, there's motivation to experience tangible results, motivation to manifest something that you can feel good about, and motivation that ultimately has a higher desire of moving towards greater self-respect. There is something about seeing a plan through, making a commitment to yourself, and then following it through with action that can be one powerful way to cultivate self-respect. And so this aspect asks us to be honest with ourselves. This is the proverbial reality check, even when it's hard. And the great thing about reality checks is that they represent an honest evaluation. What is the truth about where we are in our lives and how do we feel about it? What is the truth about given dynamics, or more importantly with Scorpio energy, how are we using our own energy? What are we focusing on? Is it getting us the outcomes we want or not? And it is this energy that asks us to consider whether or not we want to keep going on the road we are. One road or another, in some way, is going to reach a moment of a reality check, an honest evaluation, and where it is that we feel the journey is worth it, this is where we commit that much more deeply. Just because you can't get what you want now doesn't mean that you won't get it. Now, that day isn't too far into the future. It's not a way far off day that we have to wait for. In fact, as we navigate later in this month, the Sun and Mercury both will speak with Pluto in harmony. And it is going to be once we navigate into next month that Mars will speak in harmony with Pluto as well. And that means that that sense of things changing in a way that we like is not too far off, is right around the corner. But at least for now, this is where we get to decide whether or not the journey is worth it, and if we're going to commit to it more deeply. I want to be straightforward with you. This may be hard for some people. It may be hard to look at reality and feel it to be cold in some way. It may be hard to feel like there are things that have to be done, that there's some time limit or deadline that has to be met, that there's a need to focus our energy in a direction that ultimately we desire to have yield results, yield outcomes for us, and to continue on in faith, even when it's hard. It was Marcello Ficino, the Renaissance astrologer, who associated Saturn with faith, and he called Saturn the Christ principle. He was a Catholic priest, and so he understood the sky from that paradigm. And it was through his conceptualization that we come to understand Saturn as a representative of faith without works is dead. So Saturn ultimately asks us to take action in support of our faith. It's one thing to believe whatever you do. That's a beautiful thing. Faith is powerful, and we've got lots of faith on offer this week as well that I'll talk about in just a moment. Faith can be the energy of belief. It is the energy of miracles, of miraculous change, and of beauty, right? Seeing beauty in everyone and everything. That's what faith grants us. But when faith is healthy, it questions itself. And when our faith is healthy, we will go through periods of questioning, as is the case in the middle of the week. If squares of Saturn are anything, they bring questions. They bring frustrations, yes. But they also give us the motivation to resolve those frustrations, to admit to ourselves what the questions are in the first place. And so, where is it that we have faith, and where is it that we can demonstrate that? Through our actions, right? We walk our talk. We don't just have a concept in our mind, some sort of lofty image, but we are actually interested in doing the work that embodiment sometimes requires. That's the energy in the middle of the week, the work that embodiment requires. Embodying what you say you believe, not just holding some image. Now, I say all this reminding you not to be hard on yourself. That's the thing that we have to be careful with this energy. You may tell yourself you're being realistic, but the energy is actually pessimistic. You may tell yourself that you are taking ownership, but actually being hard on yourself, perhaps unreasonably so. Doing your best and surrendering the rest is the best way to approach any Saturn transit, and that certainly is the case now. I see Wednesday as representing a type of crescendo moment, if you will, of this week. It is going to be right after that. Once we get to Friday, that is when the sun will speak in supreme harmony with Neptune. And this is the type of conversation that astrologers call a trine. And this supremely harmonious alignment is that energy of faith, is that energy of miracles. It is believing and getting swept up in a moment. It is the sun in the energy of Scorpio. And so we may feel our emotions very strongly. Emotions may come to the surface, but there's something very positive about what's happening. It's like we are enjoying this internal sense of baptism, really. That's part of what tears can represent. They're like an internal cleansing, a chance to clear out the past and begin again. And we may find ourselves engaged in this understanding, getting to some deeper, more essential truth and feeling changed in the process, so much so that our tears reflect the changes that we are experiencing now and that we are feeling. But whereas the energy of Saturn can be pessimistic, this energy of Neptune trine the sun can be much more idealistic and optimistic than perhaps the situation calls for. Neither of these energies are very balanced, but what this energy says on Friday is that there is faith. There's a sense of more of us feeling very plugged into source, very swept up in a moment, swept up off our feet, able to see the love and wisdom playing out in our lives that much more readily now. But it is the next day, and as we end the week, we will do so with Mercury standing across the sky from Uranus. This is huge. This is massive. Uranus standing across the sky from Uranus happens at the end of this week. Next week, Mars will stand across the sky from Uranus. And this is the proverbial light bulb moment. That insight, that fresh perspective, that new understanding that may take us off guard. Now, the thing is, when there are oppositions to Uranus, I found that it can go to one of two extremes. It is an energy of extremes after all. On the one hand, one extreme part of this energy is that we are shocked, we are taken aback, we have to scramble to address whatever new factor is coming in. New information could be coming in. Some deeper truths could be coming to awareness. And yes, we may feel like it takes us a little bit of time to adjust. But ultimately, on the other side of it, once we've made those changes, on the other side of it, we find greater truth and authenticity, especially authenticity of self. But the other way that this energy could go is that there is a surprise, but it also brings with it great delight. It leaps us forward into our future. That's kind of how I see Uranus oppositions working out. It's one or the other. There tends to not be a whole lot of middle ground with it. But oppositions to Uranus do weather through a sense of frustration or uncertainty, or a sense of clarity and excitement. One way or the other, we are leaping into the future. Things are changing. We are uncovering and revealing some truth meaningful to us. And that truth holds the key to meaningful change, meaningful liberation from the limitations of the past. And where it is that perhaps your own inner motivations, your own understanding of yourself, of your psyche, or perhaps even some tangled alliances, right? Entanglements is part of what the energy of Scorpio represents. Well, that is when this energy of the new and the next brings that much more freedom, that much more elation as well. I wanted to share an interesting experience I had recently that I think illuminates some of what could play out in the sky for us now and how to address it, how to engage it in healthy ways. I have had a doozy of a Saturn transit. Let's just put it that way. This doozy of a Saturn transit has been very active this year. And I think that shows with a lot of changes that have been taking place in my life. But right now we had the peak, or I had a peak moment. And just now that Saturn transit is starting to ease and will move on, will gain traction and move on. I'm telling myself I have faith because I understand the cycles. And so I won't see anything like this for a while to come, a long time to come, fingers crossed. And at least I won't see a Saturn conjunct my sun again for about 28 and a half years. So I'm looking forward to that. But I had this very powerful experience in that I was feeling the doozy of this transit. I was feeling a lot of stress like Saturn can sometimes bring. And it just felt like no matter how much I do, no matter what I do, it isn't enough. I got to do more. I got to push. I got to stay focused on what I am producing and what's tangible, what the outcomes are. And while I was feeling this immense amount of stress, I had someone ask me to think about a place that I really love. Now, this is a place he knew about. So he said, hey, that place, what do you feel when you're there? When you look around, what do you feel? And instantly, I just connected to the feelings that I have when I am in that place. It is a literal place. And how I feel when I'm there, what I'm reminded of, what it brings out in me. And it was remarkable to me how much that simple moment, that moment of just stepping out of whatever I was feeling and connecting to the feeling of something that I love, something that inspires me, that gives me hope, that gives me motivation, that brings me inspiration. Connecting to the emotion of that space, how much it felt like it so quickly transformed things for me for the better. Now, you'd think that this is very Neptunian, but there's actually an element of Saturn here because it is about being purposeful. It is about being diligent. It's about focusing on something that is real, something that is tangible. The aspirational and imaginative quality of my experience, well, that does connect to Neptune, of course. And in many ways, I remember a dear friend back in the day in the Canadian astrology community, Robin Armstrong. He's still very active online and in social media, just a brilliant astrologer, I'll tell you. I have an interesting story about Robin Armstrong that I'll tell you in just a second. But anyways, I remember Robin Armstrong saying to me, Neptune needs Saturn, Jupiter needs Saturn. And what he meant by that is if you just take the energy of Jupiter or especially of Neptune, well, that's all dreams. It's all hope. It's all faith, which is a beautiful thing to feel. But it is ultimately Saturn that makes it count for something, and that ensures we embody these qualities as either habits or rituals or a part of our lived experience. Those aspirations, those imaginations become part of how we transform our lived reality for the better, where we can bring forward something that defines us in healthy ways, that roots us in self-respect. And it is hard to connect to a spirit of self-respect when we are only living in a dream and only living in a fantasy, but we need that sense of inspiration and imagination. And at the same time, life can feel especially challenging when it is that we are only living in the space and the place where we are only focused on outcomes and production. Because we are not machines. We are varied and complex beings. We do all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons. But one thing we can say is that if you are experiencing a sense of energy, right, an energetic state that maybe feels limiting or restrictive, some limits are good, some restrictions are healthy. And especially where it is that we're willing to put aside the instant gratification of what feels good now, instead for a larger, more meaningful, more significant gratification in the future, well, that is a very wise way to direct our energy. And yet, at the same time, too much of Saturn and life can feel very much like a drag. So we need balances of all these energies. And I do feel this week offers us that understanding. It offers us this insight. It offers us some very valuable glimpses into what that balance could look like for us to take purposeful action in support of what we want to manifest while staying connected to something that feels more ideal, more lofty, and more beautiful, especially beautiful in the higher spiritual sense. What I love about this week for us, well, look, there's so much here, such a powerful and meaningful astrological moment and astrological time. For this week, I'm going to say all that Scorpion energy. Well, what that means is that all of us in at least one area of life are going to be invited to look at the energy of transformation and regeneration. We're going to be invited to be more deeply honest with ourselves as to what an authentic expression looks like for us. And also to consider the power of the emotional states in which we dwell. That really tells us everything. That is the truth of who we are. The emotional states that we choose to dwell in. Now, sometimes, yes, emotion can be very strong. Sometimes it's hard to focus our own energies in the direction that we want to go. But we do get moments of respite. We do get these windows sometimes, and sometimes they last a few seconds, sometimes they last longer. But this is ultimately an opportunity now to harness the power of the will, the imagination, but also harness how it is that what we focus on can fuel a healthy sense of self-awareness and self-respect as well. Where it is that we're interested in aligning with emotions that empower us, that restore us to faith, that restore us to the best of ourselves, well, that's when we're also aligning with a spirit of love and wisdom. And in that case, we truly cannot go wrong. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up, who hits the notification bell, and so much more. Just thank you for your love and your trust. Now, if you would like to know how all this incredible astrological energy plays out for you in your sign, and if you'd like to explore some of this with me, well, check out NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. It is as a superstar that you get expanded exclusive video scopes for each and every sign, each and every week for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to live events at Synchronicity University and consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. There really are all kinds of benefits to being a superstar, and you can learn all about that at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Link is in the description below. I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity University winter session has just been announced. Winter session 2022. Can you believe we are right around the corner? We are not far at all from winter of 2022. And boy, have we got some incredible classes on offer that I hope you absolutely love. A lot of these classes are based on the feedback that I got from students, and I think we have so much to learn. Of course, choose your tuition rate is on right now, as low as just $5 a class with choose your tuition rate until December 31st. And so click on the link in the description below or visit synchronicityuniversity.com to take advantage of not only choose your tuition rate, but of course, a limited amount of scholarships are available as well, full and partial. And if you are one of the higher tiers of Superstar, as I said, you get all access passes to future Synchronicity University events. So if you're an active Superstar, well, you'll get to join me for the winter session as well. We have a lot of fun together as we go through these classes every single weekend. So let me tell you about some of the incredible things I'm going to be teaching. Now, I am going to teach on Black Moon Lilith, and it is Black Moon Lilith that we are going to look at more specifically, where it comes to how it is that Black Moon Lilith, and Lilith in particular, the mythology of Lilith, came to now be associated with sexual freedom, feminist freedom, including that sense of knowing ourselves physically and wanting to have that physical sexual expression. And we are going to go through the different signs, helping you to understand that more intimate side of Lilith and how she plays out in your life. So whether we're looking at signs and houses, that's what we're going to look at in part 1. And then in part 2, we're going to look at aspects to Lilith with a lens towards understanding her link towards intimacy, especially physical intimacy, and what this could say about what you may be interested in. So I think there's a lot to explore here. The first set of Lilith classes that I taught, it must have been about a year ago now. Those classes focused a lot more on the part of Lilith that is very independent, and that still holds true. But we here are going to look at the evolution of Lilith and her connection to intimacy and what that says about your own desires and drives and styles in that regard. We've got other goddesses we're going to be looking at as well. Pallas-Athena, we're going to do our second class looking at aspects to planets and points of Pallas-Athena and other planets and points in your chart, some asteroids as well. And then we're going to get started on Vesta, which is a very rich symbolism looking at this additional goddess asteroid as well. And so asteroids have become something that are very powerful symbols in astrology, how it is that they continue to evolve in our understanding of them. And as these living symbols, well, all of this is going to be explored in these specific classes. And it really is about awakening your own goddess energy within. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and insightful, and I hope, of course, wise and loving. Now, we've got some other classes that I think you'll absolutely love. I did all of the planets back in the day, but I realized that I didn't do the sun specifically. So we are going to have classes on looking at the sun in the astrology chart. And this is exploring the placement of the sun sign, the house your sun is in, and what that says about your understanding of your core, of your center, of how you shine really brightly. So we're going to explore that together in class. one of my very favorite classes. Now, this class is actually one that I put together for my mom because my mom is always asking me about timing her beauty routines. And you may have noticed I like to be a girly girl here as well. And I got that from my mom. But anyways, my mom is always contacting me and saying, what's a good day for a facial? What's a good day for this kind of treatment or that kind of treatment? And so really, I put this class together not only for her, but also based on the different experiments that we've had over the years exploring the best dates to do different things. And so we are going to cover a whole gamut of understanding different types of beauty treatments and what type of sky you want to look for. So this is astrological timing. We're going to look at aspects to your own natal chart, yes, but also general aspect as well that speak to timing things like tattoos and piercings, cosmetic procedures, surgery procedures, or injectable procedures. We are going to look at best days for things like spa treatments and facials, best days for depilation, and so much more. I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, a whole lot here. Hair removal, all of it. We are going to be exploring that together. It doesn't matter what your gender identity is, of course, if you want to bring forward some of that part of you that loves to take care of yourself or that loves to express your unique beauty, because that's really what it comes down to. We all have our own unique beauty. How do you want to amplify that and express that in alignment with the planets so that you have that extra bit of cosmic support to help you, and in some cases a whole lot of cosmic support to help you in that regard? Well, all of that is going to be what we explore in this class together. So this is the one that I'm really looking forward to, but of course I'm looking forward to all of these classes. Classes on the ascendant as well are going to start, and more class, the last class on the MidHeaven, aspects to the MidHeaven and what that says about success and destiny for you. So we are going to explore so much together this winter session. I think that this is going to be one of the best sessions of Synchronicity University so far. And Synchronicity University has been going on for a few years now, quite a few years now. And I hope you absolutely love it. So remember, choose your tuition rate is on now until the end of December, but get on it now. Give it as a gift. Get ready for the holidays right around the corner. And it is these classes as low as just $5 a class. You can sign up at synchronicityuniversity.com. A limited number of full and partial scholarships are available. And if you are one of the higher tiers of Superstar, you are already signed up for this. And so you'll get to join us. So thank you. I'm so looking forward to this. I think it's going to be so much fun. You can learn more. You can sign up at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. Mayan astrology launches this week. Can you believe it? This is such a labor of love. Here we are on the verge of giving this book to the world. Well, the English language version anyways. The Spanish language version is going to come out December 9th. So be on the lookout for that. But the English language version, that is coming out November 11th. I think this is going to be so exciting. And you can pre-order it on Amazon for just $6.99, and it comes with $70 worth of free gifts. So what happens is you go to Amazon, you sign up for the pre-order, and you forward us the confirmation of your pre-order. But it isn't until the book is officially launched and given to the world and publishes on Amazon that you are charged by Amazon and you are sent the electronic book. It is going to be on November 11th as well that you can purchase the hard copy. So all of that is possible here. Once you are at November 11th and all signed up with your advanced copy, and if you purchased one of the advanced copies from me, well, all of us will be invited to these wonderful classes that are going to be taking place. One has already taken place. It's a download of Yuridia Robles speaking on the different Mayan signs. So that explanation will further illuminate the Mayan signs for you. And then she's going to be teaching a live class later this month on the compatibility of the Mayan signs, helping you to understand how it is that they get along. So I think that this is all going to be very powerful. I'm going to be posting another interview with her very soon at the same time as this or just after this weekly video goes up. So I hope that you absolutely love that video as well. But yes, exciting things coming up with Mayan astrology. Such a deeply personal, deeply meaningful book to me. Such a joy to work on this with Nadiya. Such a joy to begin the process of sharing incredible authors with you. Starting with Nadiya, but other authors that I'm working with as well, because I am so determined to share incredible astrologers, share them with the world, share them with you, be part of their wisdom being out there in the world forever. I love being a part of that. So this is the beginning of that journey as well. And of course, because I have called Mexico home for 9 years now, this is one way of expressing my love for the wisdom of one of the indigenous groups and some of the indigenous wisdom of Mexico, which is the Mayan people. And this is connected to them. This is connected to their wisdom, rather, Mayan astrology. So I hope that you'll check it out. Mayan astrology pre-order now. Just a few days left to get your pre-order in. November 11th, the book belongs to the world. It is no longer mine. And I hope you absolutely love it. And I look forward to sharing these incredible classes with you and this incredible wisdom with you. And thank you. Thank you for all your love and support of my work. It truly does mean so much to me. And again, I hope you love Mayan astrology. Links to get your advanced copy, to learn more about this book, all of that in the description below. This coming week is an incredible week for Synchronicity University. We will have fully 4 classes this week, so it's very exciting. 4 classes on 4 different days, 4 different teachers. My own class is going to be coming up. It is on the 10th house. Part 3, we're looking at rulers of the 10th house, the ruling planet of the midheaven in the chart. But we've got other incredible classes as well. Melissa CYNOVA will continue her incredible tarot class. This has been so popular. Students are absolutely loving it. Taught as only she can, this world-renowned tarot expert, tarot author. And so her classes are going to continue this week. We are also going to have Louise Eddington as part of the November speaker series, and she's going to be teaching on your personal Venus star, helping you to understand your Venus star. And she spoke about this in an interview that I did with her, and I will be sure to link to it below, or you can find it easily on my channel as well, where you get to look at how it is you approach relationships with this whole other lens, not just looking at your Venus sign and house, but rather understanding the pathway of Venus, the 5 points of Venus, and how that speaks to how you experience relationships. This is going to be a very popular class as well. And Rachel Schwartz is back with Kabbalah astrology, and she's going to be exploring current events and what Kabbalah says about current events. So all of these classes positively illuminating. You can sign up for individual classes now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. And finally, I want to invite you to watch this 2-part interview that I did with Raj Gurn of Anoki Media and the Open Chest Academy. Raj Gurn really is a legend in Toronto. She runs Anoki Media, which includes a magazine and a website and all kinds of endeavors, sharing with the world. And Anoki Media has actually been really important to me as part of my journey as a professional. It was Anoki Media that was one of the first spaces that showcased my work, that shared me with a bigger audience. And so I'm always so very grateful to them for that. But this is such a wonderful, all-encompassing interview. But more than that, this interview is specifically geared towards people who might not be into astrology. And it is a bigger platform and a type of platform that sometimes and oftentimes astrology doesn't really have the chance to go into. So it has felt like a stewardship in a sense of representing astrology in spaces and places where it doesn't normally get to go. And so for that reason alone, I really hope that you'll watch and support this. These videos could use, of course, your view, even if a few minutes, your likes, your positive comments, all of that would be very welcome here. And also, I think that you'll love it. The conversation was so thorough. It was from the perspective of, yes, astrology, but also having to do with my own journey as an entrepreneur as well, how astrology fit into that. And so I think that there's a lot here that I hope will inspire you, perhaps even in new ways that maybe you're not used to me talking about all the time. I do teach a business class once a year with Kepler College, or I have for the last 2 years, and that's really rewarding. It is a different part of me, but I love being a part of helping to empower people in that way, helping them to understand their own power to move towards work that feels meaningful to them and spiritually meaningful to them. And I feel like this interview is one extension of that as well. So even though I always do that, I love people aligning with what feels like a higher calling in every area of life. Getting more specific about it, that's part of what this interview does as well. So it is a different type of interview and in a different type of forum than astrology normally gets to go. So I hope that you will bring your love and bring your support, bring your thumbs up and your positive comments. It really does mean so very much. And I will link to both parts of that interview in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust and your love, all of it. It means so much. Your wonderful feedback, all of it. It means so, so very much. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for being here, for seeing me as some part of your sacred journey. Just thank you. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.